You'd think, based on the headline of this article, that the particular movie they're referencing must be something akin to an ISIS suicide bombing video and the promotion of pure evil. Well, at least if you went by the headline of this article, by this contributor to the CBC, headline, this under the entertainment section, how Unplanned made it to 56 theaters across Canada. Despite being called hate propaganda, the anti-abortion movie has bucked all trends. It's being reported by Dina Sumanak Johnson, July 13th, 2019. So just in the sub-portion of that headline alone, the contributor is suggesting that this film is hate propaganda, which is political rhetoric for, yeah, you shouldn't watch it and you shouldn't support it. Like I say, folks, when you're talking about those who work for the ruling establishment or the media establishment in this country, yeah, you're not getting news. You're getting propaganda and politically biased information. Make no mistake about it. These are not objective reporters who are trying to remain unbiased or non-political in their rhetoric, as can be clearly seen. Unplanned's a film that boasts no major stars, has received mostly poor ratings, and has been called a piece of hate propaganda against women and abortion providers by Joyce Arthur of the Abortion Rights Coalition of Canada. So, very first couple sentences under the article, it already started out basically trying to suggest that this video is negative in some way because they consider it hate propaganda. But follow up to that is to suggest that this Abortion Rights Coalition of Canada activist, or this proponent, this Joyce Arthur, what, her opinion is supposed to mean something? Wouldn't that be just considered subjective? Because I'm pretty sure you could find some proponents or advocates or fans of this film as well that you could have led off with. But they didn't. And that tells you once again that that was chosen to be the basis for how they want you to think about this topic or this particular subject. I mean, just in those few sentences, no major stars. So that's, once again, that's meant to be derogatory and say, oh, I guess no one with any credibility, none of these major stars would even stoop to the level of being in this film, right? That's what that's meant to tell you. Has received mostly poor ratings, right? So by whom? Obviously people that are against pro-lifers or supporters of abortion, which is, what is abortion? It's the killing of the unborn. And I know lots of people argue on many different areas, and there is nuance to this conversation, no doubt about it. Matter of fact, I'd love for us to get to that point someday. Hopefully we will. But right now, yeah, it's just divided between pro-life or pro-choice. And the way this is being represented as far as the article is those who are pro-life, you're bad, you're evil. How dare you stand in defense of the unborn? Whereas those who are pro-abortion, or killers of the unborn, or promoters of killing of the unborn, we're supposed to praise and applaud those folks. Oh, and don't forget, once again, that it's also considered hate propaganda, right? Hate. You want to save the life of the unborn, that makes you a hater. How does that get to that point? Like I say, are we not adults? Is this really how we should talk to each other as adults? I don't think so. No wonder it's so divisive when you use rhetoric such as this. Still, the movie, based on the memoir by Abby Johnson, a former Texas Planned Parenthood staffer turned anti-abortion activist, has opened in 56 theaters across Canada. So this whole movie was someone that was initially a proponent of abortion and actually worked for Planned Parenthood. But I guess this lady, all it took was to see how that actually plays out and see the politics of it all to turn her completely against it. Once again, these media mouthpieces or these proponents of abortion, they don't want you to think about this from that aspect or from that position. A film shot for a modest $6 million US is being shown on giant screens alongside Toy Story 4 and Spider-Man: Far From Home. A feat most makers of Canadian films shot on a similar budget could only dream of. On the film's opening weekend, women's and pro-choice groups are planning demonstrations around the country, while some church groups and anti-abortion groups are calling for outings to watch it. So you see that divide? Why is this media mouthpiece suggesting one side is good, the other side is bad? Yeah, political rhetoric and political positioning or posturing. But there's one aspect of the film that's difficult to dispute. Its producers savvy in getting such wide distribution. Martin Katz, a veteran Canadian film and TV producer and the chair of the Canadian Academy of Film and Television, calls the film's distribution surprising. My understanding is that it's quite terrible, but there are a lot of terrible films that get released, said Katz. What I think is drastic is that there's a lot of great Canadian films that don't get released. If they do get released, they get released on a screen or 5 screens or 6 screens, not almost 60 screens. Unplanned's road to the theaters followed a careful strategy of galvanizing its supporters while working to appease the requirements of the Canadian theater distribution system and possibly promising hefty box office returns based on its success in the United States. So anyways, folks, I'll place a link to this article in the description below. But think of it. This is the problem in Canada. I mean, you can deny all this all you want. Like I say, this is the crazy thing is until we as adults decide we're going to sit down and treat each other as adults and stop playing this game of, oh, if you disagree with me, oh, you're so bad, you're evil, you're immoral. As long as we keep playing these childish games with each other, well, that's the kind of politics that's going to play out. And it's going to be devastating and destruction for all people and everyone on either side of the political aisle or any spectrum in between. Like this, we have to sit down and talk to each other as adults, like mature adults. Stop using the media or your big, gigantic, billion-dollar-plus crony corporate or crown corporations, these forced wealth and income redistributive schemes or institutions to espouse your rhetoric as a means to silence, suppress, or deny your opponents a voice, or to paint them in such a negative light that you're suggesting that their voice isn't even deemed worthy to be listened to. Because the more you play that game, well, you just embolden your opponents to step up their own efforts. And escalating tensions, escalating division, escalating this kind of hatred amongst each other is only going to make the Canadian society break down and force large portions of the population to self-segregate, where we're not showing any form of unity, and there's no general sense of purpose or meaning that we can all gather behind or unite under. It's just, once again, it's just infight, bickering, and politically biased rhetoric for as far as the eye can see. How well do you truly believe that that's going to work out for anyone? I asked you that sincerely. My answer is not very well. And it looks like a downward trajectory at this particular junction. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.